A back-and-forth battle in the Valley of the Sun where the Vikings fall short to the Cardinals 34-33. Welcome into Postgame Live presented by Miller Lite. I'm Tatum Everett. In a game that saw 7 lead changes, it came down to a 37-yard field goal attempt as time ran out and the kick went right. We've got a lot to talk about today. We'll hear from head coach Mike Zimmer. We'll have the return of film breakdown as well as seeing all of the game summaries and how we got to this disheartening score. Robert Smith to my left is joining us for Vikings Postgame Live. Obviously, Vikings legendary running back. And I don't know about you, but I felt this one. This one just felt like a big opportunity lost.
2 weeks in a row. I mean, you talk about overtime last week and you talk about the missed opportunities today, but they were shared equally in the 3 phases of the game. And we're going to break these down more individually later, but you're talking about offense missing on some opportunities, defense missing on some opportunities. The one that everybody's going to remember, though, because it's how the game ended, was the missed opportunities in special teams. Especially on
as you said, special teams. You saw Greg Joseph, who was good from 53 today, missed that extra point, and then obviously missing the 37-yarder to close out the game. Here's the missed point after attempt there in the second quarter. No good. So the score was 27, and always a very different score to see when you get those missed point attempts. And then with 4 seconds left, you see it could tie up the game. And if he missed that kick and the score was tied, it would have just gone to overtime.
I mean, and it takes the wind out of you. It really does, because you do everything throughout the course of a game, and you saw all the ups and downs, and you get that one last opportunity, and you think, okay, you made the 53-yarder, you made amends for the missed extra point, and now you've got this opportunity to win the game, and we see it go wide right. I mean, it's very difficult to deal with that, but again, shared responsibility, because throughout the course of the game, offense and defense had opportunities to win the game earlier.
Yes, you mentioned it. It was a much better complete team performance despite the outcome. So let's go to those highlights and see exactly how it all went down. It started out really great, Robert, here on the first opening drive of the game. Kirk Cousins back to pass. He finds KJ Osborne, 64-yard touchdown in stride. The longest first touchdown by a Vikings first touchdown in Vikings team history.
Yeah, and we had seen last week, didn't see a whole lot of that, and then we see the pass here to Adam Thielen, just an absolute dart from Kirk Cousins, throws it a little bit behind him there, intentionally trying to keep it away from the linebacker, Isaiah Simmons.
So the Vikings in the lead, 14-7, looking good here. Cousins has room to run. The guy's got wheels. This is the longest scramble of his career.
This is very different from a week ago. When he had the opportunities, he used his legs not just to gain yards, but also to gain time. You saw right here, scrambling out of the pocket, finding Justin Jefferson for the touchdown.
Exactly. That type of play from Kirk Cousins and then the arm throw there, you just love to see a drive come together like that. Unfortunately, this is not what you want to see. Not a lot of luck there. Tip pass into Max Williams' arms. The Waconia native, U of M grad there having a career day. Another career move here. Daniil Hunter, the return of the sack leader.
Oh, this was so big. So many opportunities he had and converted on. And here you can see one. This is Rondale Moore going around the edge. Vigil comes and he grabs this ball. If he gets both feet in right there, it's Vikings football.
And instead, it's Kyler Murray on a 12-yard scramble in for a touchdown to make it a close game, and then they would continue to score here as time closes out in the first half. Murray just making it look like it's so easy to run around and finds Rondale Moore wide open for a 77-yard strike.
One of those mix-ups in the secondary. You've got some players that have been in because of some injuries, but how about this play by Vigil? Does an excellent job just reading the eyes of Kyler Murray, makes the interception, and takes it to the house.
As we mentioned, 7 lead changes in this one, and this was another one. Matt Prater with what was soon to be decided the game-winning field goal, 34-33, your final score. Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer is at the podium now.
Tough loss today. I thought we played very, very hard. I thought, we made some good strides in a lot of areas. The penalties were much better this week. I thought we ran the ball against a very stout front pretty well. I thought Cousins played extremely well. Defensively, it took us a little while to get adjusted to the helter-skelter that they were doing, running several guys in, several guys out, then back in, back out. I thought we settled down the second half and did a much better job there. Just gave up a couple big plays that hurt us toward the end of the first half, I believe, and then start of the second half. But, we still had a chance to win. We're probably 2 plays away from being 2-0. So we'll just keep grinding, keep fighting, and we'll just keep going from there. Questions?
Mike, did it feel like that missed PAT early? Was that something you guys were chasing this whole game?
I knew we'd probably have to go for 2 at some point, but I thought it was too early when we scored.
After Osborne's catch setting up the field, did you think about trying to get more yards, or was it balls in the middle of the field, 37-yarder, just?
Yeah, I mean, he hit 2 52-yarders or something earlier, right? We won to win the game at the end. We got down there, and I thought about all those things. But the kid made a 53-yarder last 54, whatever it was last week, to go into overtime, and
You mentioned Kirk playing extremely well. What did you see from him today?
He used his legs. I thought he was accurate. I thought he got the ball out when he needed to. I don't know. Did he get sacked once, maybe, or none?
The one from behind. The one from behind.
Yeah. So, I thought he had great command of the offense. Put the ball in the right place for everybody has some, but I thought he did great today.
What have you seen from Osborne, and how has he helped the offense?
He's been, he made a great catch there at the end. He got loose on the first drive, on the first touchdown. They must have messed up the coverage there or something. But, no, he's been improving each and every week.
Did anything change with the defense in the second half other than just kind of getting used to that helter-skelter stuff?
Well, we had a couple free runners when we blitzed, and the quarterback just outran our free guy a couple times, and so there was a little bit of catch-22. Do you pressure this guy and make sure that who's ever on the outside is wide enough to corral him? But we did make some changes as far as some of the calls we made, some of the coverage adjustments we made as well.
Is there anything that could have been done differently on that fourth down, where he just kind of runs backward and launches?
He did that last week against Tennessee too. So, it was one of those deals where you're trying to create something to happen. You're hoping that you get a short throw, and he just drifted back. So.
Mike, what was the thought process on that squib kick instead of just letting it go out the end zone?
Trying to run some time off the clock.
Did you think you had that fumble at the end of the first half where Vigil had it, but then was out of bounds?
Yeah, I think they reviewed it. He had 1 foot in, he had the ball, so I don't know what they called there.
So many individual plays from this one to ask about, but that 77-yarder, what did you see there in terms of leaving Rondale Moore kind of wide open?
Yeah, we kind of busted that coverage. It was just a mistake, and we changed it after that.
What did you see on Vigil's interception there?
He was an underneath zone, and they were running a stop route to the slot, and he just made a good play on the ball.
What can you say about Patrick Peterson's play in the first 2 games for you?
Yeah, I thought he did really well today. I don't remember many catches on him today. Same as last week. He's a good pro. We didn't help him all that much. So he played well.
Like
Glad we have him.
Oh, sorry. It seemed like Bashad injured his back. Is that what he was grabbing at?
I think it was he had tight back or something.
How did you like that? Just kind of mixing him in out with Dantzler. How did you think that worked? And just the coverage opposite Patrick Peterson.
Well, Dantzler practiced a lot better this week. I think maybe him being inactive last week made him understand that he's got to do better. And so it was good. He made a play in the end zone there on the 3rd down play. I think he missed the tackle too. So he's got to keep grinding.
Mike, overall, your thoughts on the kicker? Like you said, he's had some big kicks, but this is a
yeah. I felt good about that kick. I know he missed the extra point earlier and kind of like that, but he's been kicking good. We're indoors. It's perfect surface. I'm thinking, this should be an easy one here. So my thoughts on him are, he's just got to continue to try to be more consistent. Yeah, I mean,
he's the kind of personality that can handle it.
You shouldn't. I don't think you should make a decision today on things like that when you don't. I don't think you make decisions on personnel right after a guy misses a kick. Good.
You mentioned being 2 plays away from 2-0. How frustrating is that? That you guys are right there.
Well, I think today was encouraging, honestly, about the heart that we played with today and the fight that we played with today. If we play like that, we'll win a lot of games. They may all come down like this, like the last 2 have, but as long as we do that and we keep fighting and keep trying to get better, and keep working together and sticking together as a football team, then I think we got a chance. The thing that's encouraging to me, we talked about, we haven't done it yet, but defensively we played pretty darn good except for 2 big plays last week. Offensively we played outstanding today. We made some plays on defense. We gave up a couple big plays again today, which we got to correct. But that proved to me that we have a chance to be a really good football team. Just going out there today and the way we fought, the way we came back, the way we handled adversity, the way that we sucked it up and when we needed to. The sacks by Hunter were big at the time. So, and we have been lining up in some different defenses, so we're trying to, work through some of those adjustments as well.
Looked like Dalvin was fighting through something there at the end. At the end, did you guys just decide?
Dalvin Cook.
Obviously, yeah. Do you guys just decide a healthy Madison was a better option at that point?
No, he just got a little ankle sprain. So, there was times when he'd be in, times when he'd be out.
All right. Thank you.
4 points separate the Vikings from being 2-0 and 0-2. Robert, just hearing Coach say that they were so close to, and that he still feels they can be so good, it is rather encouraging.
Yeah, it is encouraging. Look, there are no consolation prizes in games. You either win or you lose, right? Or you tie at this time time of the year. But if you look at the performance last week compared to what we saw this week, you have to be encouraged. And he talked about it. He said the offense was outstanding. Think about the way that the offensive line played a week ago. 12 penalties were actually enforced last week ago. 17 could have been called because 5 of them had been reversed. So if you look at those types of statistics, you look at the way that the defense played for the most part, and you look at the way that this Arizona team played a week ago against Tennessee, and you thought it could have looked a lot worse today. Yes, no consolation prizes, but you hear this in coaching so many times. You cannot let a team beat you 2 weeks in a row, whether that's last week or this week. Now it's a new season. You have to think about that next game and take away the positives from this one.
You're right. I mean, it really feels like they focused on perfecting and being better this week than last week. And you can even see that reflected in these final stats. 242 passing yards. The time of possession was very even. The first downs, I mean, you would think winning the turnover battle would have helped you in the long run, but it was not being able to move the ball after the turnover. And I think of note, though, that's not on there, they were 2 of 10 on third down.
Yeah, the third down's obviously a big issue, but off of those 2 turnovers, 10 points off of those turnovers, and ultimately it came down to a few plays, as so many games do, and you never know going into the game which one of those plays it's going to be. You don't know if it's going to be offense, defense, or special teams. Look, it's the beauty of football, but it's the difficult part of dealing with football when you're on the losing side.
Let's take a look at Kirk Cousins' day. You heard Coach say the offense was outstanding. Kirk, 22 of 32 for 244 yards, 3 touchdowns. No interceptions. That's quite a day. And you know what? I love seeing him move around a little bit too. But check out, I mean, he was all over the field in this one. You like to see the green dots. We're happy no red dots around the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. Never want to see the red dots. And again, I thought looking at Kirk week 1 and looking at him this week, the thing that we noted last week, what did we talk about? Him not moving very well in the pocket. Certainly not escaping the pocket, getting yards downfield. He was able to do that today, not just gaining the yards, but again, gaining time, being able to slide in the pocket on that touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson. Yeah. I think that's going to help him a great deal moving forward.
Improved offensive line play, you also like to see that as well. Now, on the other side of things, Kyler Murray just had a day. 400 passing yards. You see the 2 interceptions, but at the end of the day, he did enough to put his team ahead.
Yeah, he certainly did, and he is just so dangerous, and he has so many weapons. And how many times did we see him today? This is the thing, getting to the tackle point, getting to Kyler Murray, and being able to bring him down, 2 completely different things. I thought they did a pretty good job for most of the day, being very disciplined in their rush lanes. You saw him escape a few times, but we saw Danielle Hunter make some of those sacks, but he is just so difficult to defend.
And the rookie standout, Rondale Moore, you know, it helps that 77 of his yards was on that 1 touchdown play. But this is a guy that the secondary really struggled against.
Yeah, and he is very difficult to defend. And you know, we talked about some of the changes that they were having at cornerback, getting Cam Dantzler in. It seemed like there were some communication issues in that secondary. And look, you have to credit Cliff Kingsbury and his staff as well. I mean, this is something, you know, going back to the Texas Tech days. I mean, you know, he is very good at designing schemes that confuse defenses. You saw a lot last week. There was a lot of 3 tight end sets, a lot of things for defenses and defensive coordinators to try and account for. And it looked like a couple of those times in the secondary, just minor breakdowns were the big difference.
All right, well, we're going to head right back to Glendale now for Between the Lines with the Vikings radio crew, Paul Allen Bedlieber, alongside our Gabe Henderson.
Well, losses never come easy in the NFL, and today's 34-33 loss to the Arizona Cardinals today sucked. That's the easiest way to put this thing. Greg Joseph missed a 37-yard field goal right behind us, Ben Lieber, and, I mean, we were in the game heading, I mean, pretty much every single second until, I guess, the 4-second mark when we missed the field goal, but we just couldn't finish today.
Yeah, we just couldn't finish it. And I mean, I just want to say that was one of the most entertaining games that I think I've ever been a part of, just as a player or as a fan and working on the sidelines. I mean, hats off to both teams. I mean, there were big plays, obviously there's mistakes when they go through the film that guys left wide open. Kyler Murray's a special talent. We understand all that, but the bottom line is at the end of the game, you left it on the foot of your kicker, and I just think that the way that our offense was going, the way that Clint Kubiak was calling the game, the way that the momentum was going, I just think that there's still opportunities to advance the ball, even if you don't get to the end zone, to make that game-winning field goal even a higher percentage. But here we are, 0-2.
Here we are, 0-2, and we got a home game next week. But, PA, before we get there, I know you and I were in the booth. It was very dramatic up there, but your overall thoughts on today?
Well, I'm with Ben. It was a very entertaining game. You know, a couple of things here. On a day Dalvin has 120 and change, you hold the Cardinals to 0 sacks a week after they have 6. Cousins outruns Kyler Murray. Kirk Cousins had more rushing yards than Kyler Murray. You allow Max Williams to have a career game. And the yeah, but stuff, like, yeah, but we beat Cincinnati if Dalvin doesn't fumble. Yeah, but we beat Arizona if Joseph hits from 37. Well, none of that happened, and we're 0-2. So this one stings very much because of the way the defense, despite the points given up, the defense against Kyler, and DeAndre Hopkins didn't have a catch from the first quarter on. So, there were a lot of good things done moving forward. Those are the details that matter, man. But this one, this is a tough one.
More details, Patrick Peterson, really good game today against D-Hop. Harrison Smith, really great game today. I know it didn't show up in the stat sheet, but the no 103 sacks. It was good to have him back. Hopefully we can just build on that until next week against the Seattle Seahawks. Purple Faithful, we hope to see you there. Tatum, back to you.
All right. Well, we're going to break down the game a little bit more. Those guys making a lot of points. You could just see that the emotions of this game going back and forth and the way it ended was just weighing on PA, Ben, and Gabe.
Especially when you're there.
Yeah.
And you can hear Ben. Ben said that's the most fun game that he's been a part of as a player, as an announcer. And you say, okay, well, you're on the losing side of it. Football's an emotional game.
Mm-hmm.
Being there, especially when you're inside of the stadium, it can be gut-wrenching when you have losses like that.
And here we're going to talk about this in a little bit, Robert. Communication breakdown in the secondary. Then we're going to get to a big day for Nick Vigil because, like we've touched on, this was a much improved overall team performance, and the run game was cooking today. I have a lot to say about this, but we'll get to that in just a second. Let's start with that first point. The secondary really struggled last week, and it's not like they had a better performance overall, but it just felt like there were big plays and big opportunities that would just turn the tide for them.
Yeah, and you have to think about just how difficult it is in certain circumstances against certain offenses to play back there in the secondary, and you can see them communicating, and that's the one thing. When you're on the road, it is a little easier to communicate because you don't have that crowd noise, but you can see at times, even before the play, you could see them talking. You had the safety trying to communicate to the linebackers, trying to communicate to the corners, and at times, even after it seemed like everything was set, nobody else moving, it just minor coverage breakdowns that maybe some of those just weren't able to convert. What you have here, you're going to have 3 deep coverage on the back end, but they're going to go 4 deep here. Xavier Woods is the free safety, comes off a little bit early, but you see Mackenzie Alexander and the linebacker to that side are both taking an underneath route, and then you've got Rondale Moore wide open with nobody on him, and it converts into a 77-yard touchdown. That's one of those kind of things, and we talk about, okay, well, is it those underneath guys going and taking an underneath route, taking the cheese, as they say, that was the real problem? Or is it Xavier Woods on the back end of that, maybe leaving that center field just a little bit too early? Unfortunately, you can only go over so many scenarios during the course of the week, and you have to think about your base rules. What are my base rules? Be the deepest in your zone, and if you're that free safety playing in the middle of the field, you've got time to react side to side. Don't leave too early. You've got those zone eyes. You've got your eyes back on the quarterback in particular there. Do not leave that middle too early, and I think that's what we saw on that play.
Yeah, and you heard Coach Zimmer say it was a coverage breakdown. They went and made the adjustment, and we didn't see a play similar to that or have a man that wide open since then.
Well, fortunately.
Right? Well, now we do talk about these breakdowns. There was a very bright spot. Nick Vigil, a free agent pickup this offseason. Last week he had 10 tackles, 2 tackles for losses, which made him the only NFL player, it was the most for any NFL player in week 1. So he stepped up big last week, and then this week with a pick 6. It's the first Vikings pick 6 since December 2nd, 2019. I love that stat. It's also his first defensive touchdown. So what did you see out of the play of Nick Vigil today?
Well, he just does a tremendous job. First of all, he's got great athleticism. You can see that burst. But on this particular play, it was really him understanding the structure of the defense. He's got that hook to curl area, but using his eyes, he sees that Kyler Murray doesn't see him there, and he sees that that hook is going to happen, and he freezes in there. So he knows Kyler Murray can't see me. I'm going to wait until he throws the football, then I'm going to break on it, and I'm going to make the interception. That's what he did right there and got it all the way back, and you could see that burst. And you remember that play. It was Rondale Moore got the ball stripped away, and Vigil almost got that turnover as well. He gets both feet in, and I heard Coach Zimmer talking about that. He didn't know what the problem was, and I heard Mike Pereira, the official representative for Fox, who was talking about that play. You have to get both feet in. It's just like a reception. If he had both feet in there, it would have been another turnover for him. Tremendous job.
Yeah, what a great day. And, for someone like Nick Vigil, who's looking to, he's a veteran in this league. He's been around the league for a few years now. And with Anthony Barr out with an injury, it's so key to have him step up. He wears the green dot. So it's great to see that working in the absence of Anthony Barr. But I will say there was another really bright spot. I think Vikings fans were really excited to see Danielle Hunter get his first sack of the season, but make that 3. Against Arizona, he's met them 3 times. The first 2 times he had 2, and now he has 3 in this game. So, just a magnificent day for him. I know that we saw the elusiveness of Kyler Murray, but for the most part, Hunter was there when he needed to be.
Yeah, he was. And it starts being disciplined in your rush lane so that you're not just taking any path that you want to a guy like Kyler Murray, because we know so many times he's able to escape. But that's just the start of it. It's really that explosiveness from Danielle Hunter from that point forward, that closing speed. Because the thing about Kyler Murray that makes him so dangerous is he's one of those 0 to 60 guys like that. And Danielle Hunter being in the right place, but then once Kyler Murray takes off and we see that acceleration, still being able to close and get something on him. Being careful not to get the horse collar, but getting something on him, getting a hand and being able to use that strength from that point to get him to the ground. Impressive performance by Danielle Hunter.
Let's go to our final topic of this game summary and talk about the run game. It was cooking today. Dalvin Cook, 131 yards. Now, 96 of them did come in the first half. He seemed a little banged up at times, but the one great thing that we know and love about Dalvin is he doesn't quit. He just goes out there and continues to battle.
Yeah, and again, going back to what we saw from Arizona a week ago against Tennessee, what they were able to do to Derrick Henry and that powerful run offense of the Titans, it was impressive to see with this offensive line and what Dalvin Cook were able to do. And I got to tell you, it's so much fun to watch because it's the same kind of zone stretch plays that we ran back in the 90s. And Dalvin Cook does a tremendous job. He is great with his eyes, but you have to really credit this offensive line as well. You can see Cleveland getting up to the second level. Shad Hill doing a nice job on the backside. Dalvin Cook using that vision, seeing that he can cut this one all the way back. This is tremendous to see. So many times he got through that line of scrimmage, got to that second level, basically untouched. Just a matter of time before he breaks one of those long ones. But you're absolutely right. There are times he looked banged up, times he looked a little bit winded, not playing in the preseason. Of course, he's going to get some of that strength as time goes on. But I thought it was great to see the way that run offense operated today compared to what we saw a week ago and what we saw by that defense of Arizona a week ago. We had heard that the Vikings offensive line, much maligned a week ago, they performed much better today.
Yeah, it was good to see because we know that this offense will only go as far as Dalvin Cook can take them. That was his 16th career 100-yard game for the Vikings, but he still has a little ways to go to catch up to you, Robert. You have 29, so he's threatening you. He's almost there.
That's okay. I hope he gets there this season.
Wouldn't that be good? That would be lovely, right? Let's take a look at the division. I know after last week the division went over in the win column. That's no longer the case. The Bears hold off the Bengals, a fourth quarter comeback from Cincinnati. 14-point fourth quarter comeback from Cincinnati, but the Bears pull off the victory 20-17. And then next week, the Vikings take on Seattle, who played the Titans, ironically enough, today. And they fall at home 33-30. I know that one came down to the wire as well. And Seattle is another team who has an elusive, mobile quarterback. They've got a tough defense. They've got a good offensive line. So, Robert, I know, let's go ahead and look at this home opener. I mean, this is why we're showing the fans, though, right? Fans will be back in the stands. There's going to be new opens unveiled to hype the crowd up before kickoff. We've got a team that is playing better. They want to get their first win. They're hungry to get that first win. It's going to be a crazy atmosphere when the Seahawks come to town next week.
It is going to be absolutely insane seeing this, and I'm excited for all the fans up here, and as disappointed as I am, because I know there's been some heartache, particularly with some missed kicks up here in Minnesota that this fan base has been through, to be able to have to see something like that, but to have the opportunity after 2 road games to open up U.S. Bank Stadium for the season against that Seahawks team, you know the place is going to be absolutely nuts.
Okay, real quick before we go, what is the key to getting a victory against this tough Seattle team?
Well, I think it's just going out and playing football. You know, you heard Coach Zimmer talk about it, and I think from an emotional standpoint, after what happened last week, and you saw the way that the team performed this week, they absolutely believed what I'm sure the message was inside the locker room. He said, it's just these little things. Mm-hmm. It's the little things that matter. And if you put that same kind of effort in this week, then the results are going to be much better. And you are that close. And it's the same message, unfortunately. Unfortunately, you have to do it at 0-2 instead of 2-0 or 1-1. But the message remains the same. And I think that if you do get that same kind of effort, offensively and defensively, of course, you want to take out a couple of those mistakes. But if you get that same kind of effort, it's a victory next week. And you're sitting at 1-2.
You know, the Vikings had a slow start last season, got right back into it. So hopefully that's the case. But I know more than anything, we're excited to see you fans back at U.S. Bank Stadium next Sunday for the Seattle Seahawks game. The Minnesota Vikings in their home opener. Fans are finally back. I'm pumped. It's going to be an exciting time. The kickoff concert featuring Dustin Lynch starts at 10 a.m. Make sure you get there early because you're going to want to be in your seat for the beginning of that game as well. There's going to be crazy stuff going on in the stadium. I can't tell you what it is just yet, Robert, even if you tried to pay me off. Not going to happen. It's going to be a lot of fun, though. Thank you so much for tuning in to Vikings Postgame Live presented by Miller Lite, and we'll see you again next Sunday.